You are listening to Book Clips, a mini podcast in which authors or narrators do readings from novels. Check out the show notes for the synopsis and buy links for this book.
Beneath Everything, written by Suzie Carr, read by Stephanie Murphy. Chapter 1. Through her typical mad dashes from one meeting to another, Sarah Destin had learned that a good laugh, or an extra-large glass of Merlot, could usually mitigate most stress. Well, on that particular morning, no amount of laughter or Merlot could rescue her from the upheaval. Running 10 minutes late for her meeting with the La Chapelle department store, Sarah dashed through the crowded mall, littered with strollers, clumsy toddlers, teenagers, and elderly mall walkers. She zipped around a kiosk advertising La Chapelle's new summer dress line, an ad campaign her team spent months coordinating, and then she skirted around a middle-aged couple sipping Starbucks coffees. She pushed onward, tossing an apology over her shoulder and drawing a deep breath in to stave off the beginning pangs of a headache. The sugary scent of waffle cones in the distance, colliding with the flashing lights of the carousel and the wailing screams of an upset child, caused her temples to throb. The spree toward the escalator ended on a giant sigh when her heels pressed against the first step toward her climb to a victory she hoped to bring back to her team. She placed her laptop case on the step above her, and then she combed her fingers through the ends of her faded amber hair to untangle it. She leaned her head backwards to take in the sight of pastel eggs, decorated with glittery lines and circles hanging from the light fixtures. They sparkled and twirled, and they reminded her that the Cadbury mini eggs she favored so much would once again be luring her into gaining another 10 pounds before summer. She'd wolf them down, every last morsel of their chocolatey center. After her meeting that morning, she would visit the Rite Aid near Sears and treat herself to some. She'd buy an eyeliner, notepad, or pen and sneak the bag into the sale. Because of her addiction, by the end of Easter season, she always had a ridiculous collection of Bic ballpoint pens, spiral notebooks, and liners in every imaginable color. As she approached the top of the escalator, her cell chimed. She bent over and dug it out of the front pocket of her case. As she rose, something pulled at her waist. In a blink, the escalator stairs, while flattening out at the top, began to swallow the bottom of her long skirt. No, she screamed, pulling back on it. The escalator devoured its edges and wouldn't let go. The cackles coming from the upper landing motivated Sarah to fight the angry teeth of the escalator. She clung to her plush Italian wool knit skirt, but the escalator needled it further into its gluttonous clutch. Next thing she knew, the escalator groaned on a final churn when an older woman, holding the hand of a toddler, pushed the emergency shutoff button. Sarah's $200 J. Jill skirt lay murdered on top of her red Jimmy Choo heels, leaving her exposed in all her nakedness to a crowd gathering around her like drooling vultures on feeding day. Of all the days not to wear undies! The godforsaken things had tortured her with a wedgie from hell on the drive over to the mall. She crossed her arms in front of her exposed hoo-ha. "Nice ass," a boy called out, while pointing his smartphone at her. She stared in horror at the phone. "Put that away!" she shouted, pointing her finger at him. "Right now! Put it away!" He continued capturing her shame, nudging his friend to do the same. "Stop! Stop filming!" When they didn't listen, she cried, "Please, please stop." She scanned the upper landing for someone reasonable. She spotted a middle-aged man covering his mouth in shock. "Please stop them," she begged. He sprang into action, rushing toward them. Meanwhile, the older woman picked up the toddler and headed up the escalator, wrestling one arm at a time out of her jacket. When she landed next to Sarah, she handed it to her. "You poor thing. Take it. I'm here to buy myself a new one anyway, so it's yours." Mortified, Sarah gripped the jacket and backed up against the escalator's glass supports. The hoots and hollers echoed deeper against the cavernous pitched ceilings and endless open mouths of shocked, stupefied onlookers, branding her with their gawks, points, and mockery. "Thank you," she said, wrapping it around her waist. "Thank you so much." "No thank you is necessary." Sarah spun around, looking for shelter from the mob snapping photos of her. Sacrificing all for the sake of finding shelter, she abandoned her favorite skirt and fled, tossing her cell into her laptop case and wrapping the life-saving jacket tighter around her waist. Her cell kept dinging. She galloped like a fool all the way to the parking garage. She pushed through its double doors, and in all her disgrace, landed in its orangey glow, panting and sweating. Her phone rang again, beeping out its annoying tune in perfect sync with her heels. A moment later, back in the safety and comfort of the front seat of her Lexus, she brushed her hair back behind her ears. Then, in one controlled and smooth attempt, she composed her next inhale and exhale. She pointed her eyes to her passenger seat, to her new black undies that crawled way too far up into her butt to be worn into an important meeting. She narrowed her eyes at them, angry at their impractical beauty. She reached into her back seat for her bug-out bag. Sarah, prepared and practical, would not let a little chaos destroy her plans. She would put on her spare outfit, march into the mall as if she owned it, and get the job done. A moment later, she slipped into her comfortable, sensible pair of white undies and a gray pencil skirt that matched her red blouse and shoes. Then she searched the pocket of her laptop case for her cell. 5 missed calls from her best friend, Frenchie. Bypassing her, she dialed the VP of merchandising at La Chapelle. It's Sarah Destin, and I'm in the parking garage. I'm sorry, but I'm running late. I ran into a traffic jam. Are you still available to meet? Take your time. We'll see you when you get here. Just like that, everything fell back into its rightful place, undisturbed and smoothed over. She blew out a sharp breath and thought about the pictures and videos the crowd took of her. As soon as she finished with her meeting, she'd call her assistant, Sam, and ask him to locate and remove any that popped up on social media. If anyone could help her, Sam could. She pushed on the door handle, then toyed with calling Frenchie back. A quick call always turned into an hour, especially when it had been so long since their last chat. Reluctantly, she pinged her back. "I saw you called. A lot," she added. "Is everything all right? Are you terribly busy?" "Just a little preoccupied at the moment," she said. Rehashing that hellish detour would cost her too many extra minutes. "I need your help." Sarah pressed her forehead against the window, looking ahead to the mall's entrance. Trying on her most patient tone, she said, "With?" "I'm having a surprise 60th birthday party for Johnny and his twin sister Maureen, and I'm in over my head." At 47, Frenchie was smack dab in the middle, age-wise, between her husband Johnny and Sarah. Yet when it came to planning, Sarah seemed to be the most sensible of the three. "Just keep it simple," Sarah said. "No, I want this to be the party of all parties for Johnny. We only have 2 months to plan it. I need your creative brain, specifically for the invites. I want them to be unique, you know? Something special. I'll need them in like 5 days, though. Please tell me you can do it." The bass from a passing car boomed, causing the concrete supports to moan. Her best friend had no idea the height of the work pile on her plate. She also had no clue that in the next week, she'd have to rise at 1 a.m. just to get through the things she put off from the week before. "Email me what you want them to say, and I'll get it done." Oh, you're the best, kiddo. Sarah smiled at the reference, despite having turned 35 a few months before. Oh, and mark your calendar for May 23rd, she said. Of course. I'm going to try to get Maureen's daughter, Jolene, to come too. She lives on an island in the Caribbean and hasn't visited in years, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it happen, but I'll try. Do you remember her from my wedding? Sarah lifted her forehead from the window, recalling the memory of Jolene. Sarah had stepped on her toe while dancing the electric slide, and then Jolene winked at her. That wink had traveled from the tip of her head to the middle of her thighs. Jolene. That name shifted her lips into an instant smile. That was 10 years ago, my friend. I'm lucky to remember that today is Tuesday. Well, actually, it's Wednesday, which brings me to my next question. Sarah bit her lip, vying for more patience. What's that? Instead of emailing you the details for the invites, come over for dinner on Thursday. I'll be dining with little Tony on corn dogs. We can go over the details then. Johnny won't be here, so we can be silly, just like old times. Old times before Sarah got her promotion. She could have used some time with Frenchie's 5-year-old step-grandson. Tony always had a way of simplifying everything. One little flash of his smile brightened the world. But her work pile. Can I take a rain check on the corn dog and Tony? This is a tough week. If you email the invite details, I can rush them back to you. If it's too much trouble. No. Sarah cut her off on a strained sigh. Email them. I can do it. What's wrong? Frenchie asked. You sound like you're panting, like you're stressed. Everything good? Everything's fine. Sarah pulled at the door handle, climbing out of the front seat. It's just another day at the office.
You have been listening to Book Clips. Check out the show notes for the synopsis and buy links for this book. If you are interested in showcasing your novel, then check out the show notes for more information.